Drudge comes out and says, listen, I don't want to hear that we're going to do a bunch of other stuff first. It's tax cuts on the poor and the middle class. All the top economists say we're going into a recession/depression. Never got out of the recession if we don't do this fast. And Trump responds within hours saying, yes, Drudge, I'm going to do it in the next 3 weeks. But meanwhile, Paul Ryan and people are running around getting Soros money, and that's the big story he broke on Infowars.com in the last few days. And also how there's this big tie-in.
Just a little bit of
the quiver, the way you put it on the string. Like, you want that.
It's a stupid argument because it's really about the bite.
So busy with everything else that Brock is caught in a document bragging that they're going to be the group that the government consortium goes
I think whenever you
still, along with a mail order group out of Florida that does mail order diplomas, and Snopes, a lady, her cat, and her husband, they will be the grand arbiters of who can have a website. And it's begun. Wikipedia's banned the Daily Mail, that I found to be a super hardcore paper. And you've also got other reports with massive Twitter censorship increasing. So we'll talk about all that with Dr. Jerome Corsi, and then I'm going to go to your phone calls with Natasha and others that are patiently holding. Dr. Jerome Corsi, 3-time New York Times #1 bestseller, investigative journalist, but really better known in circles and a friend of Trump for 40-plus years in banking. And they met earlier last year and discussed the future. But the big thing here is they're trying to stall the economy. Goldman Sachs is announcing it. Bloomberg, they're all saying kill the economy, recession, hurt Trump. They're trying. It hasn't happened yet, but Trump knows he's in a race to turn the economy on. So as a Harvard economist and geopolitical scientist, that's really Corsi's forte. So before we get into his big stories he broke about censorship and the rest of it and Soros funding the Republican leadership and really how Trump is surrounded, all he's got is the American people. Let's talk about the attempts to stall the Trump recovery, Doctor.
Well, I've been in Washington all this week, as you know, Alex, and attending meetings. And it's clear that on Capitol Hill, the Ryan and McConnell effort, along with the Democrats, is stall Donald Trump's program. I mean, every time I go to a meeting, there's another report about how some committees are saying it's going to take months to repeal Medicare. It's going to take maybe 2 years, how tax cuts are complicated. And if we let the government be run by Ryan and McConnell, it's going to be completely a Democratic Party agenda of, do nothing but slow down the economy, gradually grind it into a recession or depression. And, thankfully, Donald Trump, I don't think is going to stand for it. It's just hard to have the amount of subversion that's in Washington of the president's agenda. Every place you turn, even within the White House, there are people working against President Trump.
And let's be clear, it's like Gingrich running around saying we're not going to drain the swamp, and then Trump makes him go out and say that's not true. We have Ryan saying we're not going to have tax cuts till 2018, and then Trump says no, we are. They're openly working against him.
Right, and I mean, I'm even suspicious here of Reince Priebus, who is, the chief of staff. He's a Republican GOP establishment, and he's not going to root out of the State Department, the 1,000 people who have signed this anti-Trump letter saying that they disapprove of his closing temporarily immigration from 7 states in the Middle East that even Obama identified as terrorist states. Saying it's really an attack on Islam. It's not. It's an attack on.
Hey, everybody. March 3rd, I'm going to be at the Cott Theater at the MGM with young Tony Hinchcliffe. Should be a great time. Then, April 20th, credit when I do, I'll come back to it. There on episode 911. This is episode 911 of the podcast.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not. I had to fucking work hard all week to grind out podcast to make sure that I hit episode 911. When we booked it, I knew how. I go, okay, there's a certain number of podcasts I have to do to get this to young
sources. And so the government, good elements of the government know what's really going on. So the media then misrepresented and said, oh, look at 4chan. They're talking about a thing called Pizzagate in some pizza place in D.C. Then the media looks at it and says, oh, Alex Jones is claiming all this bad stuff's happening at this pizza place. I'm like, what is this? So they divert to some probably
guy who did this recent piece.
Yeah.
They were in their underwear and it looked.
Okay, through the White House organ, Catholic priest getting on too.
But yeah, it was a comment for them. See where,
Radar.
right? Yeah, that and with Michael Collins and Gemini 15.
Like, wait a minute.
Exactly. Magic is a technology that hasn't been discovered yet.
That has witnessed.
Donald Trump's in the KKK. As if Donald Trump. Are you sure he's racist? Are you sure?
Well, there's any discrimination.
You
It's
sure
that
he's
he
anti-gay?
mainly hires gay guys that run his casinos and hotels and is friends with them and like gave interviews with The Advocate 20 years ago. It's all just complete made up horse crap.
Yeah,
He's
right.
waving
Fake
a
news.
rainbow flag. At the RNC speech, he says Republicans have to stop being mean to gay people, and it's all water.
well, they've definitely just. They were wearing
I said 2 months ago that
Sriracha.
Monopoly. No, I mean, literally, I really seek the truth and try to tell the truth. Infowars.com has all our articles, our research, our videos, our podcasts, what we do. And I'm not left or right. I'm not liberal or conservative. I'm really trying to find out what's going on in the world. And so after all these years, Joe, this has been I love
I'm
how
glad
you
we finally did it.
crystallized really good questions. You kind of knew all the stuff I was going to bring up. So that was scary.
You just get crazy. You just get crazy, and you want to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. But I think sometimes you got to go. Okay, hold that thought. Expand and explain because
you
a lot
did
of
good.
times things. But hold on a second, Eddie. Things that are in your head, self-explanatory. You already know about it. There's a giant percentage of the people that are listening to this have no idea what you're talking about.
No,
So we
I
gotta,
get it.
Hey, everybody. March 3rd, I'm going to be at the Ka Theater at the MGM with young Tony Hinchcliffe. Should be a.
That's why I don't trust the government. That's why I don't trust anything
Because
from
they
NASA.
ran a fake op. They didn't want to spend money. They ran a fake op with just re-entry devices and basic stuff in space and did shoot some of it. But then they had a real mission that put the reflectors and everything on the moon. We went to the moon, bro.
There's no proof of that real.
So you believe?
I don't know about that.
Well, you know that the Russian government with
Do you know how many
Lunkahood-
people died in the secret space program?
Alex, you know that the
A
Russian
lot.
government, put those laser reflectors on the moon as well with unmanned probes.
Yes.
You know that, right?
And there's dead
So, like,
Chinese. The Chinese have been to the
Yeah.
moon a bunch.
So that's
Yeah.
not like the
They just
best.
can't make it.
Nobody
there's weird evidence.
Nobody went. The damn thing's not even that far away. Look
Are
at all
you
this-
kidding? Are you kidding?
So Alex, you think they definitely went to the moon? That just the footage is fake? Is that what you think?
Yeah, you can't bring film back through the Van Allen radiation belt to get spots all over it.
Right, but if we don't have film, what would lead us to believe that they definitely did it?
Because they CA cameras.
Well,
How
there
come
was
they trashed all the
there's
telemetry
some amazing
data?
footage, right? There's amazing footage
Because
of them
they
circling
put
the
a
moon.
fake launch in space in case the real mission died.
So who's in the fake
And they're not
launch?
going to show you the real
Who's
crap
in the
they got.
real? What happened in the? Is there
The
any
U.S.
evidence
military
of the real?
is
Is there
50
any real
years
footage?
in advance.
Okay.
Okay, but
Okay.
let him answer this, Eddie. So,
it's half
we got to figure this out. So what you're saying is the one that we saw on TV with Neil Armstrong, one small step for man, that's all horseshit. But the real one actually took place. They just couldn't get the film back.
But Armstrong had been on real missions.
So yes, he definitely been on real missions. But
I don't know.
Hey everybody, March 3rd, I'm going to be at the Ka Theater at the MGM.
Network Catholic priest. It's on the moon of Mars, the soul moon, and it's sending a transmission, and it's all real, and it's all Egypt, and there's aliens and everything else. And it's the only time he ever said it.
What?
Who said that?
Yeah.
Who said that?
Is there a clip of that?
Yeah,
Buzz
pull it
Aldrin.
up. Pull up Buzz Aldrin.
Pull that
There's a
up
clip of that?
immediately.
Dude, it was on like ABC
Immediately.
Nightly News the next day.
So
Let
Buzz
me
Al-
see that
Do you
shit.
think he was
That was
fucking with you?
ridiculous.
Do you think he's fucking with you?
No, he was real.
He's a feisty fella.
I can't tell you the whole
lying.
story.
I think he's full of
Like, what do we have to worry about? Are we really going to lose cities? Do we really?
Consciousness and free will for individuals, as we know, and a true 2.0 in a very bad way, hive mind consciousness with an AI jacked into everyone, knowing our hopes and dreams, delivering it to us, not in some PKD wirehead system where we plug in and give up on consciousness because of unlimited pleasure, but because we were already wired in and absorbed before we knew it by giving over our consciousness to this system by our daily decisions that it was able to manipulate and control into a larger system. There's now a human counterstrike taking place to shut this off before it gets fully into place and to block these systems and to try to have an actual debate about where humanity goes and cut off the pedophiles and psychic vampires that are control of this AI system before humanity's destroyed.
Wait a minute.
Humanity
the pedophiles
is only
are controlled of AI. How'd the pedophiles get in control of AI?
the pedophiles at a whatever level,
rule.
the devil, whatever you want to call it, this interdimensional thing that gives them advanced off-world technology, the fallen one that's not of this world.